Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, back at it again with another installment of Lyles Figure Files. Today was our first Hasbro Star Wars Fan First Wednesday, whatever branding they want to call it. Basically, it was another showcase to show off some new figures and some we've already seen before, but with some fancy new deco. Starting off, we got some new Archive series reveals. First up was C-3PO from A New Hope, aka Star Wars, if you're not fancy. And this is the first one they've done in about 5 years, they said, which is crazy. This is the basic C-3PO. So if you've got a Star Wars Black Series collection, you kind of need this guy. I have one from SHH Figure Arts, and I have the Black Series Chewbacca C-3PO 2-pack, where C-3PO is basically in the net. It's the end of Empire Strikes Back, and he's getting carted and dragged around by C-3PO and R2-D2. Those are good figures, but it would be nice to have a Black Series C-3PO official figure. Next up was Dengar. I don't know if he was as popular, but I think from secondary markets, he's pretty expensive. So for people who've missed out, he's a really good figure. They've done some upgrading and updating on the face print, so you can see a little bit more of the wrinkles and so forth. I'm not quite sure from that view that they showed in the live stream if he had butterfly shoulders or not. That'd be a nice addition. Typically, they don't do much to enhance these figures. They just kind of pump them out, maybe do a face printing, fix up the paintwork. But if they included that for Dengar, he would really benefit from that. So I'm curious to see how he comes on that front. Next up is Skiff Guard Lando. And if you've been building up your Return of the Jedi Jabba's Palace setup, this is a nice final variant, I guess, of Lando, because this is the last one we need. We've gotten General Lando, which you can find at all stores everywhere right now. You can also get the Bespin leader in charge of this Cloud City Lando Calrissian. So I think this is the last one that you kind of need for your collection of Landos from the original trilogy. And it really looks nice. The face printing, the paint job looks good. I didn't get this figure, so it'd be nice to have this final version of Lando to complete the Jabba's Palace sequence. Or at least almost, because I still don't have the unfrozen Han Solo. But I guess that'll be on the way soon. Next up was the Emperor. Now, for everybody that missed out on that amazing Black Series throne setup with Emperor, this is a nice alternative. You don't get that amazing throne, but you do get Palpatine, this soft good cloak and hood, and it comes with his cane, no lightning effects. So it's definitely a lower scale version than that Emperor throne room setup, which was well worth tracking down. I was able to find one right before the prices skyrocketed. No bragging. If it's something you can find cheaper, I would highly, highly recommend grabbing that piece. But if not, you can get this version for much cheaper, and you definitely have to have an Emperor in your anything Star Wars collection at this point. So nice to get him back in rotation. So really good for all those people who've missed out on these figures. 4 quality ones, 4 great additions to the line. For the Black Series proper, we didn't see a lot of excitement. We got another gaming greats. It's the Night Brother Archer. This figure looks really good. Now, this is a character from Jedi Fallen Order, which I'm still working my way through, having a lot of fun. Those Night Brother Archers were super pain for me to figure out until I really mastered the lightsaber deflection technique. This figure looks great, but I would love to see more of those supporting characters from Jedi Fallen Order. We've gotten a bunch of the army builders already, but there are other characters, main characters from this that we haven't seen so far, and it's weird that we haven't gotten them yet. I guess they don't have to worry about the actor's likeness as much, but it's kind of cool to get them. So hopefully they'll come out. But the Night Brother Archer has great detail. The paint work is really impressive. I wish they could have included a Energy Blast arch arrow effect for him, because it just kind of seems weird that we always get these archer characters, or characters who use a bow but no arrow. So hopefully they'll figure something out, or some crafty 3D printer customizer will whip up something so it can use in that as well. So then we move on to the Vintage Collection, and it's like, what in the world? That's all we get from Black Series? I mean, I feel like that's my biggest disappointment with this, for what the Hasbro team does with the Star Wars brand. They've set up this Black Series. They've got us excited. We're all clamoring for 6-inch scale figures of these guys, And then we feel, and I don't know about you all, but I feel so left out when we see these amazing diorama sets, these really timely versions for the vintage collection line. And then we're just kind of waiting, and in my case, not so patiently, for versions of characters. And I'm kind of like, we've already seen in the vintage collection. Why are we just doing these gaming grade figures when there's so much to mine from the Clone Wars, for example? Like, Clone Wars should be one of their biggest things that they focus on. And then you could argue they're still not very timely with the Disney Plus shows. Like, we're still waiting on important characters from the first season of Mandalorian. And then, hey, we still got people from Mandalorian Season 2 that we haven't seen in figure form. And it's just weird because they've got all this momentum from the Disney Plus areas. So if we just focus on Clone Wars, Mandalorian, Rebels, Bad Batch, Book of Boba Fett, those are 5 properties right there that they could be mining. And instead, we're getting archive series figures. It's, oh yeah, hey, we just got the Dark Trooper. That's great, but there's so many figures they should be pumping out. And I just feel like they're missing the boat, missing the momentum on these figures. I mean, maybe they could have gotten a Cara Dune Series 2 of Mandalorian, or Season 2 of Mandalorian, if they had been more focused, more committed to cranking out these figures at a faster rate than we're getting. And I feel like the promotional art that we're seeing on these characters doesn't differ so greatly from the Marvel characters. So like we've seen them with the MCU versions of characters from Marvel Legends. Sometimes those first figures that we get aren't anything like what the movie version actually has. So then Hasbro has to go back and do a double dip. Hey, here's an actual movie accurate version of this character. The Star Wars figures, we're not really seeing that. We're seeing the promo photos look exactly like how they look on the show. And then it somehow still takes a year and a half for the figure to come out. And it's just kind of weird. It feels like they should be moving a little bit faster on this. Anyway, mini rant over. Let's go on to the rest of the reveals. So we got a new 501 First figure, Army Builder, coming into the vintage collection. And the figure looks great. I want more Army Builders for Black Series. So maybe my rant isn't fully over. But this is a really nice looking figure. You can take the helmet off. I don't really remember too many scenes and sequences where the 501st were taking their helmets off. But now you can have a army as big as you can afford, because I went to Target the other day and these figures are about $15, $17 now. I'm like, gosh, that's super expensive. And when you consider like the Star was at, the Black Series figures are still $19.99. It just kind of seems like you're getting so much more value paying for the 6-inch figures than the 3/4 inch figures. But that's a whole other situation. So we got him coming, and I'm going to say the big reveal. I'm just going to skip ahead to the pipeline figures they revealed, because the big reveal really, really is impressive. So on the pipeline for the Black Series, for the Vintage Collection, we're getting Anakin Skywalker from Attack of the Clones. I don't know what they can do to enhance that figure. We've seen several, but we're getting another one. And we're also getting a Mandalorian Commando. And that's pretty cool. Nice addition to the line, because you can't ever have too many Clone Wars figures. But again, it's for the Vintage Collection. Then we're getting a new archive lineup. And this one has Han Solo from The Force Awakens, Chewbacca and Moff Tarkin from Star Wars, and to further complete your Jabba's Palace sequence, we're getting Leia in her Boushh disguise once again. Next up, way further down the road, probably later in 2023, we're going to get more Black Series figures. We're finally getting the Ayla Secura. Now, this is kind of what I'm talking about. How long has it been since Attack of the Clones? How long has it been since Revenge of the Sith? For us to now get another Ayla seems very, very weird. I mean, it's like that's a figure that should have been in the pipeline for a revised, better looking version with new face printing, better articulation, way faster in 2023. Next up, we're getting Darth Maul from his final appearance in Clone Wars. Now, this is a figure I desperately and definitely want to add to my collection, so we can have him face off with Ahsoka, have him destroy some of her clones. This is a figure that I've really been clamoring for. It's already out in vintage collection. So again, it's kind of like, I feel like their timing is off with these guys. I feel like if we're getting one in vintage collection for the Black Series collectors, we should get them right around the same time, not waiting months, maybe even to a year later. And then finally, to wrap up the pipeline reveals, we're getting the Saw Gerrera. Now the photo they used was from Rogue One, but there's so many different versions of Saw that it's like, all right, y'all, we need to hurry up and get more versions of Saw, because we're finally getting the Rogue One. It should have been made 3 years ago. How long is it going to take before we get a Clone Wars version? You know, it's just, again, there's so many. I feel like they're so far behind on these figures, and they're not making great strides in terms of catching up. All right, so finally for the big impressive reveal, and I kind of feel like this is a response to the failed Rancor HasLab promo or effort. We're getting a Jabba's throne room, and there's no backers. There's no, we've got to meet this threshold. It's just, hey, vintage collectors, we're putting out this super massive showcase piece for you. Another thing to show off your Return of the Jedi collection. And it's so great looking. There's 50 accessories, so much sculpted detail. I mean, it's just an incredible looking setup. And it also comes with Bib Fortuna, basically from the end with the Book of Boba Fett prelude where he gets killed. Spoiler. And so you can have him out there and sitting on the throne. They've set it up so you can have him, Boba, also there. If you have a vintage collection Jabba, you can put him on there as well. So, I mean, there's just lots of cool options. But this is what I'm talking about. This is a great showcase piece. You've got all this setup. You've got the arcway. You've got all kinds of different cool little features, like a droid head on a plate. You've got the spittoon, which actually pivots and turns, and you can put different things on it. They got the Rancor heads in the throne itself. I mean, there's some really great detail. This is not cheap. It's $229. So this is basically next year's HasLab early preview without the threshold, without the incentives, without the tiers. It's just, hey, here it is. I love this. And I kind of feel bad because early on when they introduced the Black Series, way back when, I was like, yes, finally I get 6-inch figures of Star Wars. And I started to slack off on my vintage collection. I had a pretty decent one, but you know, over the years, like, man, they're really doing some great stuff. Like the Bespin chamber, that was a really cool setup. You had to buy 2 to complete it, but that really looked good. Then you had the Star Wars hallway scene where Darth Vader and the Stormtroopers are going after the Rebel Troopers. There have been so many great pieces, and it's kind of like, man, those are really cool options. We're not getting anything like that on the Black Series. I don't know how expensive that would be, but the vintage collection collectors are really making out like bandits now because they're just putting out so many quality play sets, so many different cool options. And I wish we had some of those for Black Series. But I definitely think this is a pivot from Hasbro because they don't want to be strung along and they just want to put these pieces out. And I'm sure with the vintage collection throne room, they're not going to have any problem selling that, people buying it. There's no hook. There's no, well, if we get to 9,000 backers, then we're going to get the bib in here. Or, hey, if we get to 13, then we're going to throw in the throne itself. Everything's right there. I love that. I love that approach. So I don't think that's too unreasonable price given all of the different features in this thing. I think it really looks cool. There's a ton of detail, and you can just get it all right there. And that's going to be something coming out next year, so it's enough time to start saving up money for it. There's no, oh, shoot, which of these 3 projects do I back? You got time. You can set aside some money, a little bit every day, and just skip a trip to Starbucks or McDonald's and go a long way to that. But I think this is a really incredible looking piece. Definitely a nice, I mean, if you've been collecting Return of the Jedi, you've got Jabba's skiff, you've got the hallway, now you've got the throne room. So there's just so many different features you can put in there. And you're going to have an amazing Return of the Jedi setup. I'm really jealous that I didn't start way back when, where all this stuff was starting. I still have my Black Series Jabba on his throne, but I have 0 to put around him like vintage collectors. So I'm very jealous. And I think this is going to be a really nice piece. And people are now starting to get their Razor Crest figure or HasLabs. So I'm really jealous that I didn't get that now, but that looks great. And these are just really big, massive pieces that if you have been collecting the vintage collection, you're getting so many different facets of Star Wars. And it's a good time to be a vintage collector. And for Black Series, I feel like we're still waiting for all those cool things. It's like, oh man, we didn't get the Rancor. But that's just how it is when you roll out things weird. But I think Hasbro's doing the right thing with this Jabba throne setup. It really looks impressive. Probably one of the most impressive that they put out in a very long time. I think this is going to be one of those pieces everybody has that owns it is going to be like, yeah, check it out. I can't wait to see what they do with the dioramas and connect all the different parts to Jabba's palace. It'll be really cool to see. So that's all for me on this one. Let me know what you think about this throne room. And if you're as disappointed as I am about the lackluster new reveals from the Black Series. We're getting some cool archive series back in rotation, but I want to see more Black Series. And let's hit up more of the Clone Wars era, the Jedi Fallen Order with individual characters. And there's a ton of TV, Disney Plus shows that we're still waiting for. So hopefully we'll get them down the pipeline very soon. No pun intended. All right, thanks so much for watching. As always, this episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.